sensation you're feeling?
It's lightning.
Struck by lightning.
Alright, let me sit down before you start spewing out your loquacious bullshit. Alright, Highlander. Who doesn't know what Highlander is?
I think modern film goers, I don't think anybody younger than us knows what Highlander is. Canon Films.
Who was in charge of Canon? Globulus or whatever?
Yeah. Golan and Globus, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No one has ever known we were among you. Until now.
Until now.
Wait. No one has ever known.
Ever.
Like, they've never encountered humans before? Oh, I forgot about this. Alright.
This is a perfect tie-in for Bohemian Rhapsody. After you watch that, you can watch Highlander. And then you can watch Mad Max.
It's a different Brian May. It's not the Queen guy.
Bullshit.
It's not the Queen guy.
I'm gonna go look it up later.
You can check right now on your phone. It's a different Brian May. This is an impressive shot for 86 or whatever. Jeez, look at that guy in the pink shirt on the left. He is so into it, man. Yeah. Freaking Seinfeld on the bottom.
Yep.
And look, there's James Remar.
Oh, Jason's in this movie too?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine him buying tickets for like WrestleMania? You'd be like, I want one. And they'd be like, what's wrong with you? And he'd be like, give me my ticket.
What amazes me about this movie is how historically accurate it is. We'll probably talk about it more after the movie's over, but the whole idea is just so dumb.
It's a very comic booky idea.
Yeah.
Somehow got turned into this huge franchise.
Like a 90s, like an early Image comic, where they didn't quite think it through, but they were like, this is going to be really cool.
But his name's Highlander, so it's not Image Comics. If it were Image Comics' name would be like Blood Smear or like Knife Point.
You have a sword. How?
He looks like he's really used to using it too.
Oh man.
He doesn't look just like a fat old businessman.
This movie should have ended already. Christopher Lambert should be dead. This guy had a sword.
I mean, I hate to say it, but this music reminds me of Jason Goes to Hell music.
Yeah, it does sound kind of like it. Alright, so he had the advantage there again because he freaking knocked him down, but then what did he do? He turned around and started running away.
Why would you do a backflip off of a car?
Yeah,
just get off the car.
You knocked the guy into the windshield, and then you turned around and ran. Then you slashed at the guy, he ducked, and then you turned around away from him. And then somehow he ran from across the freaking
Yeah, because he just ducked down, and the guy landed right next to him.
How come sometimes you can do all these flips, and then other times you're like awkwardly clambering over
But you know what would be
car?
really awkward? To do a backflip when you got a big heavy coat on.
He's still going. Oh, man.
Just walk.
I mean, I can just see Rob Liefeld watching this movie and being like, these are the kind of comics I want to make.
So, like, freaking The Lightning in Return of the Jedi looks like awesome. So this is 3 years after that. How have they never encountered humanity before if every time this happens there's, like, massive explosions?
And how has nobody shown up yet?
Yeah.
I mean, are they so invested in that match? It almost feels like somebody watched, like, a really... like somebody watched a really bad anime and was like, I'm going to turn that into a movie.
Wait, did you put a sword up there?
Yeah.
Why?
Who the hell knows?
Ooh, that was cool.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's surprising that Christopher Lambert made a career out of acting. When you look at him, you know, and you just watch him do something, you wouldn't be like, that guy. That guy's going to be huge. He doesn't have a very commanding presence.
Yeah, he doesn't have any distinctive qualities either to his acting or to his like appearance or to his feel. And that Lightning did not look very good. See, Clancy Brown I can totally understand. Clancy Brown should have been like the huge guy that like...
Yeah, he's Mr. Krabs. And he was in Pet Sematary 2.
This makes me feel like I'm watching Angel, because they got a guy named Connor, and they're back in like the Middle Ages or whatever.
And just like, do the Buffy plugs wherever you can.
Yeah.
This makes me feel like I'm playing The Dig. Because there's dirt. See, I can do it too.
Fight me.
Wow. He's a great swordsman. First thing you're going to do is just lift up your sword and leave yourself wide open.
Don't even breathe.
He acts like a real cop, not like some kind of
Cartoon character.
Yeah. Okay, so the person who figured out how to do those transitions was probably like, we gotta do it at every possible moment. When he's like eating a sandwich and he spreads the peanut butter on the bread at like half swipe, it's gonna cut back to Scotland.
I thought you were going to say like a sword going up or something, but okay.
What do you think of the cause of death, Lieutenant, huh?
Let's laugh at the decapitated corpse.
There was a guy that was killed just like this over in Jersey.
Yeah, but I figure what the hell, that's Jersey.
I mean, all the dialogue from these characters is so stupid so far.
They talk like 80s movie characters.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. It's almost as bad as 90s movies characters.
Not as bad, though. When we get to
Yeah.
90s, everyone makes dumb jokes all the time about everything.
I have to admit, I would also turn away if Christopher Lambert was like staring at me.
Those dead eyes.
With those eyes.
You a faggot, Nash?
Why, Garfield? You cruising for a piece of ass?
That's pretty good.
I mean, the cop hit him first. Everyone was watching. He could totally sue the department right now.
This is the 80s.
Yeah, I can tell by those glasses she was wearing.
Sound didn't quite match, but okay.
Neither did that. I mean, if you did that, that would make the sword not very, strong. Ooh.
Oh,
He's
what a
cool.
good technique for the middle of a battle.
Yeah, he went to the Harlem Globetrotters and he's like, show me how to use this. And they were kicking it all over the place.
Man, check out that artistic shot. See, people talk about that edit in 2001 where the bone turns into a spaceship, but they didn't see Highlander.
Yeah, when the peanut butter turned into Scotland.
Real smooth shape.
I love how everyone's joking about dead bodies in this movie. Really makes you develop an appreciation for our law enforcement. So just know that when you're murdered, they'll be making jokes about you.
Hey, Brenda, usual?
Oh, it's Queen playing in the background. Diegetic and non-diegetic. It's all over the place.
Quit trying to impress our audience.
I mean, the mise en scène,
They're too low class. They don't even know what you're talking about.
the verisimilitude in this movie really makes me believe Highlanders are going to chop off my head.
Why are you asking me about the garden? Have you been following me?
I'd like to walk you home, Brenda.
That's a little creepy. I'd be like on the phone with the police immediately.
Yeah.
What if a Highlander committed suicide? Would that power be lost?
That's already more questions than they asked when they were coming up with the ideas for this movie. What was that supposed to do?
I don't know.
Turn it into Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, these guys are lucky that they're mostly immortal, because if this is as good as they can fight, they would not have lasted this long.
On the ground. The police. Put down your weapon.
I will find you!
Hey, hold it right there. Come back here.
So for the people that don't know Highlander, it's about a bunch of aliens, depending on which version of Highlander 2 that you watch, or just humans who time travel. You have a lot of time to play the piano, Christopher Lambert.
He's had hundreds of years.
He probably still sucks. Have you seen his hands? Can't even hold a sword.
Yeah, if he's not good at the one thing that he should be good at, I can't imagine he's good at anything else.
See that shot right there? It's like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining. Just those dead eyes.
I mean, it could have been worse. Like, it's not Danny Glover.
In this role?
Yeah, well, I mean, because of the dead eyes.
There can only be one. There can only be one, right? Right, Riggs? Yeah, can't you see Lethal Weapon like 7? Clancy Brown coming after Danny Glover? Well, it turns out he's been a Highlander all along.
That would explain how he survives all the crap.
Yeah, yeah. You could just hear him go, Riggs! Riggs! And just like running like in his underwear or whatever he does.
Well, I was going to say, like, I mean, Danny Glover used to be an action star. You know, Predator.
He used to be in action movies.
Well, okay.
What do you want?
You!
Weirdo.
The sensation you're feeling?
It's lightning.
Struck by lightning.
I mean, Sean Connery impresses me in this movie with his acting ability. Because usually it's just like, oh, it's just Sean Connery there. And him just being there is enough to get people to be like, oh, man.
Sometimes, McLeod, the sharpest blade is not enough.
say there's like the 5th transition.
That one was okay. That was pretty good. I mean, how did he get him out on the boat? He's like, you don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Come out on a boat with me. You can't swim. Hold this thing. Did he say, okay? And this reminds me of that part in Night of the Hunter where they show like the woman's body that he killed down at the bottom of the lake.
Crude and slow, clansman, your attack was no better than that of a clumsy child.
I like how you never actually see any of those things happen. It's always off screen. Imagine you're Christopher Lambert. Mm-hmm. You already died once and came back, and then now you just like walked across the bottom of this lake without any problems.
Right.
Instead of listening to the guy who seems to know things about maybe why, you try to kill him.
Well,
maybe ask him some questions.
Well, I mean, he's basically a savage.
Yeah.
I mean, he comes from the backwards village in the middle of Scotland. He's already assumed that he's in league with the devil somehow. He's a simpleton. Okay, so we're missing all this. So basically, he's immortal unless someone chops his head off.
I got that, yeah.
Well, the people watching this video, like you said, who have no idea what Highlander is. See, it's just like when Batman Begins. It's like, you never learn to mind your surroundings. And then the tree falls on him, just like Batman Begins. And then he's by the fire shivering because the tree fell on him.
You're vulnerable and off balance.
Connor.
Heather, please.
Christopher Lambert is trying in this movie.
Yeah.
He's just not good.
I can't ever say I've seen a movie where he's a great actor. The most iconic thing I can think of,
Is Highlander.
well, I'd say is Mortal Kombat.
Paul W.S. Anderson was a huge fan of this movie. That's why he got.
I mean, this is
freaking
definitely
Christopher Lambert.
way more of a movie.
Paul W.S. Anderson did Resident Evil, and then this guy did Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, why hasn't Christopher Lambert been in any Resident Evils?
Yeah.
He could be Wesker. I'm part of Umbrella. Or whatever, you know.
You're right about Sean Connery, though, in this movie.
It's the quickening!
Did he explain what that means?
Yeah, he said he can like feel the life force of like things around him and stuff.
But why?
Gain their strength and
Why?
just because he can't, it's his ability that he has.
Yeah, but why?
What do you mean why?
Why does he have that ability?
Because he's an alien. Let's go get it. He's got to go get his fucking sword.
Yeah, okay, so if you can't die...
Let's go jump off. Your bones are all
Well-
healed, and he'll be like Wolverine after a while. He'll be like, oh, my bones all set again. Well, obviously his love interest has to die, so he can be all brooding and stuff the rest of the movie.
I'm surprised there's not something about... Well, maybe there is in the other ones, like a reincarnation of someone that he knew before or something like that.
We cannot have children.
Does he mean they physically can't have kids?
Yeah,
like
I
it's
think
not
so.
possible?
Yeah.
Where did they come from then?
They're aliens.
Did he
How
have
many Star
parents?
Trek- All those questions are answered in Highlander 2.
Highlander 2, Highlander. I mean, they're using different kinds of swords. Like, you don't fight the same way with the same, with different kinds of swords.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he's so terrible at, like, he's just not good in general.
Yeah. I mean, maybe... At least it's nice that they can use whatever sword they want. Like, they don't have to be like, this is like your magic.
Yeah, the Soul Calibur or something.
Yeah.
The Voorhees dagger.
I mean, why don't a bunch of them team up against the Kurgan and just make a pact like we don't have to kill each other or whatever?
Yeah, well,
Like, those two haven't killed each other.
why can there be only one? There's already two. There's more than one. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I know. Oh man, John Woo was all about this movie. Okay, I didn't realize you were in like a 1950s horror film. Get the fuck out.
Clancy Brown versus Sean Connery. It's such a weird thing.
He wasn't even falling that way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. Why all of a sudden is he
Yeah, oh, okay.
winning, kind of?
Yeah, because he decided to.
I mean, he's taken every hit so far.
Yeah, and he fell off like a freaking
Yeah.
7-story thing. Why is it imploding inward?
It's like a freaking video game.
Yeah, but like a poorly designed physics engine. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't have to make sense. It's cool.
The
It's
motto
radical,
of Paul
man.
W.S. Anderson.
Yeah. Why didn't you cut off his head?
Yeah, idiot.
You're still holding the sword.
And now
own
your sword, yeah, so...
Like, ah, man. You guys both have swords. Why doesn't Clancy Brown use the sword? That's why, because they thought that would be awesome. Somebody saw the 7th Voyage of Sinbad with this skeleton and was like, I could do it better.
She had like an hour to get out of there.
She could get out of there right now. I mean, nothing in the past, 5 minutes has made sense.
But it looked cool.
if you're like 12 and you grew up in the 80s, then maybe.
You just described Paul W.S. Anderson.
This was the period where you had so many cool sci-fi and fantasy and horror movies. Like freaking Conan the Barbarian was awesome, and then you get this. That was the period when stuff like this was coming out like every week. But it was like a lot of it was good. You didn't have to settle for crap. Why did this one get so many sequels and stuff? When there was so much other stuff coming out that was way better.
Product placement. Wouldn't be surprised if like Christopher Lambert's holding the Pepsi and Clancy Brown shows up holding the Coke and he's like, there can only be one.
Those buildings in the background, they're not real.
Yeah.
In another movie that could be cool, but in this movie it's supposed to look real, and it doesn't.
Well,
okay, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. This movie like just completely validated itself. I mean, it's like us looking at all this crappy CGI. People in the future are going to be like, can't believe that they were okay with that back then, but we're not. It looks bad now.
Ooh. That looks like shit.
No, that was kind of cool. For real? That was kind of cool. The reason people like this movie is because, I mean, it's guys that like this movie.
Yeah.
And they like to imagine that they're like Connor McCloud. You know, I'll keep like my Batman fantasies. You can have your Highlander. Oh, now she's all charmed and stuff.
Weren't you the one who was just first stalking me and then like fighting this giant Clancy Brown Mr. Krabs dude with a giant sword and then running away from police choppers? Come on in.
1783 was a very good year. Mozart wrote his great mass.
1996. Mortal Kombat graced the screen. I don't know if it was 96. It was somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, maybe 95. Everything from the Highlander perspective, that side of the story doesn't make sense. But then everything regarding like just individual characters doesn't make sense either. Nothing with this woman makes any sense. The way she's acting or anything that she's done.
We usually don't have big musical interludes in movies at all anymore.
Yeah, and it's all because of Highlander. Who's that guy? I've seen that guy somewhere. Isn't he in Star Wars? He's in episode 1.
Captain Panaka?
I don't know what their names are. Captain Panaka, how do you know that?
I mean, this scene is pretty funny. When he's like drunk and stuff and they're fighting, he keeps stabbing him but he won't die. And they think the duel's over. And they're always like, great duel.
Okay.
I mean, it was a funny scene. I don't know. It feels like something they wanted to cut. Clancy Brown was like, put that back in there.
What the hell?
Yeah. That's what I would say too if I was driving by and there's some guys fighting with swords.
Just in the middle of an alley in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And they're doing it so awkwardly and poorly.
They've had hundreds of years to train.
So what, he's got PTSD?
Maybe.
And he's like, this reminds me of Vietnam when we were fighting with swords. Oh, he hit him with the first 5 bullets. I mean, how did he get behind him?
Because it's a movie.
Okay, so is everything going to start exploding? Yeah, okay.
Now, see, if this movie were made now, that manhole would fly towards the camera.
He had a scar across his neck.
What did he tell me? He looked like a pedophile crossed with like a dinosaur.
It was Mr. Krabs. Why doesn't she just look it up on her phone?
This is why I don't like old movies, because they don't make any sense.
They all wore pants like that.
I haven't seen a single character send a dick pic in this whole movie. It's not believable.
I am in disguise. This way no one will recognize me.
I mean, they would call the police, and the police would say, we're looking for a crazy-ass guy who, like, yells and creepy, wearing all this, like, black leather and shit.
Just trying to blend in.
Yeah. What if he just had, like, a bobbit on the wall, like, over the corner? Look, this is full of, like, historical artifacts.
I was born in 1518 in the village of Glenfinnan on the shores of Loch Shiel. And I am immortal.
Believes him all of a sudden because he stabbed himself.
Yeah, and she's like, I want you to stab me.
And it's an 80s movie, so like...
Yeah. I'm about to bop it, twist it, and pull it.
Glad she adjusted her lighting to
It had to
match
be all
them.
red. Yeah.
What the... Yeah, what... Does she live in Silent Hill? Like, what are these giant red lights coming out of everywhere? What the...
I mean, that's like so over the top.
Somebody saw Suspiria and was like, hey, That movie was cool. Let's do that. Can't she just get out of the car? Whoa, that was weird. Oh, okay. I mean, I get that he's driving fast and stuff, but I would get out of the car. Jeez, okay, well that guy was just not paying attention.
Must have been on his phone.
I mean, he's not even doing anything. It's not like they're swerving to avoid him.
I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they tried to do like a prequel and called it Kurgan and tried to make him see like oh, I feel sympathetic for him because he had such a rough upbringing or whatever.
Throwing kids and dogs in a pit.
Yeah, like he would be one of the kids who survived, you know, and then eventually became part of their society.
Kurgan always shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's his superpower.
But when he's actually there, like, he's just kind of swinging around awkwardly, and he's not that fast.
Yeah, he's got the biggest sword. That's how he wins. I mean, and he's so much physically stronger. All he has to do is just physically, like, beat him into submission until he's too weak to fight back, and then just cut his head off.
Yeah. I mean, how quickly did they recover, though, from their wounds? Like, he got shot and immediately, like, got back up, but he also absorbed the other guy's energy, so I don't know. That must be a really strong sword.
Yeah. It's not even like a magic sword, it's just like a regular sword.
Yeah. Wait, why did the letters fall? Are they attached just at the bottom that he's cutting? Like,
I don't know. See, like, they would have done this now, today, and just all CGI.
Yeah.
Like, even though that's obviously a soundstage.
At least it's real.
It's a lot more engaging than it would be if it was just CGI. I mean, at least they're actually standing in pools of water fighting.
This movie's almost over, but almost none of my questions have been answered as far as...
I think that's very typical of, you know, a lot of 80s movies where it just kind of seems to keep going and then it's just over.
Late 80s movies, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, why doesn't he just bring a gun and just, like, keep shooting him until he's like, oh, I'm, like, incapacitated, and then just cut his head off? Or, like, a bazooka.
How did he stop that sword? And why is she still standing there? Press your advantage. Don't just stand there looking at him.
Why do his eyes look like that all of a sudden?
Why are you doing the Conan pose?
Why does he look like a Betazoid right now?
Yeah. I mean, that freaking music.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember this part now.
Yeah.
Can't believe I forgot about it. See, this is when they were like, we can out Ghostbusters.
Yep.
With all those ghosts flying around.
So he's like the last one,
well,
supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know.
Yeah,
I mean,
as far as this
really
movie
know.
goes.
Because there's already been, how many died in this movie? Like
if
5?
He was, does that mean that the Kurgan did all of the legwork?
Is this a Disney movie? Look at those things.
Yeah, it's like a Fantasia.
Yeah. This is what Paul W.S. Anderson was thinking of when he did that scene in Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah. On the
boat. Yeah. What were you saying, though, about... Oh, jeez, okay.
I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
So, if he is the last one, he didn't kill anyone himself. So that means all the other immortals... Well, all the other immortals, like, did the work. Like, he seemed to be only in self-defense. So that means the Kurgan probably did all the legwork, and then he just killed him and said, I'll take the prize. That would be like if I just waited in the last 100 meters of a marathon and ran out and stole someone's number and slapped it on my chest and was like, I did it! I'm the first one!
Well, but it's not a contest.
There can be only one. Makes it sound nothing like anything but a contest.
Well, but in a survival sense, he's not trying to go out and kill everybody.
But the Kurgan was.
He didn't kill the black guy.
I'm sure there were a bunch of other immortals who were trying to be the last one.
Yeah, I mean, which still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he looks like he's a part of a country club now. That's the prize. He gets the membership at, like, Pebble Beach. Their membership requirements are pretty brutal. They never tied into where he was like, I can feel the life force of things around me.
Steve Hopkins is the guy who directed Predator 2.
Okay.
And Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5.
Yeah, they never tied into, like, when he felt the deer or whatever, and he's like, you can tie into, like, the feelings and gather the life force of whatever's around you. Like, I would have thought he would have done that. Kind of pulled like a Dragon Ball Z thing where he said, I'm going to kill the Kurgan, but I need the energy of everyone around.
Yeah, well, again, he's not the smartest character. But also, it's like just another example of, we have these ideas, but we're not really going to think them through. We're just going to kind of make the movie anyway. I mean, it feels like it should have been a comic where you would get more issues later that would explain everything. and not just have it be one story.
Well, I would be, if I were an immortal, I wouldn't be as stupid as him, obviously.
Well,
And
I'm not an immortal, and I'm not as stupid as him.
Well, like, if I had all the money, because, you'd be living for hundreds and hundreds of years, and you have all the chance to, like, acquire all this wealth and everything.
Yeah, but also the chances to lose it.
Well, yeah, but see, here's what I would do. I would hire, like, basically a mafia organization to track them all down, and then I would have them just incapacitate them, because they're only as strong as basically people, And I would just have them,
maybe. He seems stronger. I mean, he took down the whole tower.
Well, you know what I mean. I would have, like... I would say, okay, I want you to, like, incapacitate this person, whether it's through tranquilizer darts or, like, just tie him up or whatever, and just tie him to a chair so I can come up to them with, like, a sword and just chop off their head and make sure we're in a room that doesn't have a bunch of glass in it when I do it, because then we all get hit with glass.
I mean, I would do just like you were saying earlier, get them all to agree to, like, work together and kill the bad guys. I mean, there's really only one bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else was basically friends with each other. Like, not just on friendly terms, but, like, friends with each other.
Right. So I imagine that the Kurgan went all over the world searching for other immortals.
Frank Dukes was Old Man in Car. That has to be a different Frank Dukes. You remember Frank Dukes?
Yes, I do.
Bloodsport? Okay, yeah.
Let's get everything we want to say in.
Yeah.
All right, this movie was awesome.
It wasn't as bad as I remembered it being, but it still wasn't good. It didn't make any sense.
No, I think that's the biggest thing. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, nothing from, like, the supernatural angle really was explained all that much. And there were some big questions there.
Which it can be okay to not explain everything.
Yeah, but in a situation like this, it almost doesn't... It's almost, like, pointless to follow what's happening when it's...
You don't understand what's at stake or why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Other than the only reason they give is to earn the prize.
Well, even more than that, it's just like there's one bad guy, and he wants to kill everybody just because, basically. I mean, because he's a bad guy even
and
without
they even
his power.
said, like, Sean Connery even said, because he's from a race of barbarians, that's why.
Everybody else is basically friends with each other. I mean, imagine if they had killed him. It would just be like... I mean, like, before everybody else died.
Yeah.
It would just be like, okay, whatever.
I think the biggest thing is they could have used a lot more of Christopher Lambert's laugh.
I mean...
The fate of billions depends upon you.
So again, people like this movie because they fantasize, they see themselves as Scott McCloud.
No, it's Fox McCloud.
Wait, Connor McCloud.
Yeah, that's his name.
Who's Scott McCloud?
I have no idea.
Oh, Scott McCloud is a comics guy. The people who love this movie,
okay.
What do they think? See, I watched this movie in my young years. People remember it from when they were, dumb kids.
As an aside, I know 3 people who can quote Highlander in its entirety. That's solid, too.
I don't see how that's supposed to validate your opinion or whatever.
I mean, I can quote the freaking 98 Godzilla pretty well, but that doesn't make it a good movie. It's just because I was forced to watch it like Clockwork Orange style. Every time I see a picture of Jean Reno, I start vomiting like explosively. One of the best films of all time.
Well, I like how this film has it all. It's got a brilliant storyline, amazing actors, and dazzling sound effects. Dazzling sound effects. Uh-huh. Did they mean special effects? Did they mean the
they
music?
meant sound effects. Fantasy, queen, sword fights, and mild sex. That's what I want to read.
I and millions of other teenage boys were ready for Highlander.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I bet you love the never-ending story, too.
Plus, the story jumps chronologically back and forth like Pulp Fiction and Memento. Don't you like Memento?
Well, besides that, this movie is not the way Pulp Fiction and Memento jump around in time. That is not the same thing.
Right. Me and my friends used to play Highlander with broomsticks. Yeah, so a bunch of kids.
Nostalgia of my childhood days.
One of the best movies of all time, no matter what other people say. I'm not even going to listen to other opinions because they're wrong.
Look at that punctuation, too. The Highlander 3 was a better film in my opinion, period. I never liked the TV series, though, period, semicolon. This was my favorite sword fighting movie when I was a teenager. Again, you saw it when you were a kid.
So those people became adults, and then it became Highlander's the greatest movie ever. 3.5 out of 5? Well, considering IMDb goes up to 10, that's... person gave it 10 out of 10 but keeps referring to it as The Highlander.
If someone watches this movie and doesn't enjoy the rich tapestry of the cinematography, the music, and the storyline itself, period, well, they are either an incredible movie snob or blind and deaf. The protagonist in this movie is awesome as well.
How did they know I'm blind and deaf? They just graded on whether it meets their lofty ideals of what a movie should be. So turn off your fucking brain and just watch the movie and then walk out and say it was good.
One of the most memorable movies of my life. When I was a kid, this movie was a huge influence on me.
I had a replica of Connor's sword. Unfortunately, it broke when I stabbed a friend in the stomach. This is the classic, so please do not diss it. Paul Newman?
I knew you. Oh, man. I don't respect you anymore as a freaking actor.
So Highlander, the greatest movie of all time. When I was 11, In the 80s,
If you liked it when you were a kid, like, I can understand that. I liked it when I was a kid. Liking something when you were a kid doesn't make it good.
right?
It doesn't mean you can't like it. You can still like it for whatever reasons you want to, but that doesn't make it a good movie.
No,
That's not the same thing.
Subscribe to our channel. There can only be one subscriber.
That doesn't make sense.